Welcome to my channel, Clear Vision of Truth. It has been a long time since I have done a video, but now may be the right time to return. Around the web, I find many people now talking about currency revaluations, money resets, and unlimited money. But with all the hopium being pumped out on YouTube channels like the Goldfish Report, K Currier, and Paradoxman, I see and hear very little realism. So it was refreshing to find a post on the Acore thread entitled "Back on the Free Money Train, Powered by Hopium." The post was a reaction to a video by Ron Van Dyke, which was headlined 9/5/2016, "What if money was no longer an issue?" And it was published today. A wise man, Ron says, once wrote, "Where there is no vision, the people perish." Reflecting on this, I asked myself, what if money was no longer an issue? Then Ron went into his familiar rant, talking about how the world would be a better place if only the wealth could be taken away from the corrupt elites and redistributed to people like Ron. Well, here's what Dr. Bub wrote in response on Acore. "Truly, I wonder if Ron is capable of deep thinking on this issue, rather than just wishful thinking. Here are 4 very real issues he could have mentioned. Number 1, where would the money come from? If the government just printed the money and handed it out, there would be massive inflation. Pretty soon the money you could confiscate from the wealthy would be used up, and to keep the spending going, the government would have to print it. Per the law of supply and demand, the demand by those spending their free money would soon overwhelm the supply of goods, and prices would take off. Number 2, who would do the dirty jobs if everyone's needs were met? Well, if everyone had as much money as they needed, who would do the dirty jobs? Collecting garbage, washing dishes, taking care of sick patients, and even waiting tables. In America now, many of those jobs are done by illegals who cannot get other jobs and have less access to the welfare programs. In the free money society, wouldn't we have to import workers or have robots who are not on the freebies to get these dirty jobs done? Well, how well do you think that would work? How well is it working now? Number 3, would people really become, as Ron said, loving, compassionate, and kind? I ask you this, are children of wealthy parents loving, compassionate, and kind? Or spoiled and sometimes psychopaths? Just listen to the video below about Chelsea Clinton. Does she sound loving, compassionate, and kind? Of course, by contrast, think of Ivanka Trump and Trump's other children. They were raised with discipline by 2 parents who insisted they work hard and engage with reality. But most wealthy people do not raise their children like that. I think we need challenges and empathy to bring out the best in us. Point number 4. Would our society really be filled with better people or just lazy consumers lacking purpose? Have you ever heard of the tears of the devil or the lottery curse? Oil has been called the tears of the devil because countries with massive oil wealth, like Saudi Arabia, do not normally come out producing strong and independent people who are loving and compassionate. Instead, the people are proved to be better at consuming rather than producing, and they seem to lack creativity. Often they are ruled over by a class of parasitic elites who make more money than the average and keep the mass of people enslaved using handouts as a way of keeping them from rebelling against the oppression. Lottery winners are another example. Winning the lottery is said to be a curse. People's lives change. For a while they like spending freely, but they soon find they are surrounded by people trying to leech off them, and their lives lack purpose and meaning. Is this what would happen to everyone who gets their needs met too easily? Well, I've noticed they often stray into darkness and perversion rather than being loving and kind. Of course, there are exceptions, and maybe a really interesting thing might be to acknowledge the reality that too much charity is destructive, and then to study the exceptions where these negative things do not happen. Maybe we should look at the Trump children and see why they turned out different. But to do this requires subtle thinking. I know his fans will not like me saying this, but Ron seems to be incapable of true critical thinking. These are only some of the deeper questions that need asking, and in his video, Ron does not confront any of these issues. In fact, Ron does not allow those who post on his channel to indulge in any critical thinking at all. He wants his ideas left alone. He doesn't want to debate. He doesn't want to argue. He's told us that many times, and for those who don't believe him, he just debates. He just deletes. He just deletes them from his channel. He deletes their comments and he bans them. Also, remember this recent video, 8/31/16, Ron and Aristo, titled, "What Do We Do?" In the video, Aristo said to Ron Van Dyke, "You could have become a celebrity or a guru, but measures were taken." Measures were taken. What does he mean? Like what measures? Maybe this. People learned to apply some common sense to Ron's delusions, like his notion of free money. Aristo also said, "The only reason I ever took the OPPT thing seriously was they had a slogan, being and doing." Okay, but OPPT was never about being and doing. Their real slogan should have been dreaming and waiting, because that is what they were doing. Aristo then said, "Do you want an audience?" He said this to Ron, "Do you want an audience that is entertained by you, or one that engages you?" Ron answered, "I don't want arguments. Even my son tries to argue with me." Well, here's something, I think. This free money thing could have been very interesting to discuss, but Ron will not allow it. He will simply ban those who try and say anything real about it, and those who attack the silly delusions that he is putting out. Okay, that was the post. And now we have this video. I welcome people who want to discuss free money to come here and post on my thread. You're most welcome. And if you say something sensible, I won't ban you. If you make an interesting debate, I certainly won't ban you. And if you tell the truth, you're most welcome of all. Thank you very much for listening.